The Michigan Football Report is presented by Manscaped, folks. I use this little bad boy to trim up downstairs, and you should too. Manscaped.com. Promo code GOBLUE, the best products for male grooming, 20% off and free shipping. All right, it is Sunday. Just ate some lunch myself, and I am ready to dive into my Michigan Football Overreaction Sunday. This has been the most popular video of on the show, on the channel here on YouTube over the first 4 weeks of the season, 3 weeks of the season, hopefully fourth today. It also was last year, so I think you guys like the way we kind of look at what's going on around social media, what's going on around the internet, and bring you the biggest overreactions around this team a day after the game. But I want to know from you, let's start the show by lighting up the comments. What was your biggest overreaction from yesterday's 34-27 win, Michigan defeating Maryland at the Big House on homecoming? Want to know from you guys down below in the comments. All right, been talking about this for a few weeks. Going back about this time in August, I said, look, with Michigan's schedule lining up to be Colorado State and Hawaii and UConn, could they jump into historic realms when it comes to an offensive perspective? First team ever to score 50 points for Michigan to start the season in 3 straight games. And now they have at least matched the 2016 Wolverines. Tossed up on the screen, Sammy boy. 200 points in the month on the dot. Now, wasn't the highest scoring month in program history, but it was the second to go over 200 or above, and it is the second highest scoring behind only Jim Harbaugh's 2016 Wolverine team that scored 208 points in that month. So you see the scores, 51, 56, 59, and hit 34 today to put it right on the dot. Michigan football scores 200 points in the month of September for the second time in program history. First overreaction today is Blake Corum for Heisman. I don't know if you've got a better player out there. Ohio State fans are going to say, oh, C.J. Stroud, Alabama, Bryce Young, et cetera, et cetera. USC fans, sorry, Sam, they're going to say Caleb Williams, and Georgia is going to hype up their quarterback, Stetson Bennett. But Blake Corum had a hell of a game yesterday, had a hell of a game a week ago. 5 touchdowns 2 weeks ago against UConn, and only 12 carries and 70-some-odd yards. But now 30 carries, 243 yards, Heisman-esque moments. I know it's Maryland, folks. I know it's Maryland. But 4th and 1, 33-yard touchdown, under a minute left in the first half. And then the game, what turned out to be the difference of the game late in the fourth quarter, to put Michigan up 2 scores. Maryland came down, scored, 2-point conversion, 7-point game. So his 2 touchdowns, they were the difference of the game for Michigan when Michigan could not get anything going offensively, especially in the first half. All kinds of errors. Blake Corum shined. Let's take a look at his season stats today. When we talk about the Heisman Trophy, we talk about a Michigan running back winning the Heisman for the first time in program history. It's never happened before. Tom Harmon, some say, he was a running back here or there, played at different positions, wide receiver with Desmond Howard, and, of course, defensive back with Charles Woodson. 478 yards. He hasn't really played in the second half at all in the first 3 games. Obviously played that in this game. 9 touchdowns, 5 coming against UConn a week ago. He's on pace now, just in the regular season, not even counting if Michigan makes it to a bowl game or Big Ten championship game or college football playoff. Just the regular season, he's on pace for just under around 1,400 yards, I should say, and 27 touchdowns, right? That alone will probably win him the Heisman, the 27 touchdowns, if he keeps the pace up. Clearly, he would need a 5-touchdown game, 1 out of every 3 or 4. But I want to know from you guys, with 9 touchdowns so far through 4 games, how many rushing touchdowns will Blake Corum have this season? Interesting to think about, because Donovan Edwards didn't play last week, didn't play this week. Blake Corum was the guy that carried Michigan's offense throughout those 2 games, scoring touchdowns last week, doing everything, including yards, in this week. So I want to know from you guys. Go down in the comments and let me know. I'll pin this comment below the video because this is the part of the video that you usually get hit with a YouTube ad break. Scroll down, comment how many rushing touchdowns you think you'll have. Scroll back up, and we'll continue on with today's Michigan Football Report. Overreaction number 2 is the injuries, folks, have taken their toll, and you definitely saw it yesterday against Maryland. Let's take a look at the guys who didn't play. Erick All, we told you on Thursday, out for the season, back injury of some sort, but we're not going to speculate until Michigan makes an official announcement there. Donovan Edwards missed his 2nd game in a row. He was available, like I said, so I don't want to hear any haters. But Michigan said, we feel comfortable with Blake Corum, the backups, although the backups didn't really do that much. Nikhai Hill-Green, right? He's basically missed the entire season so far. And then Trevor Keegan. Him and Carson Barnhart. Keegan injured. Barnhart looked like he might play, although wasn't in the starting lineup. Michigan was without two of their top six, right? Keegan and Barnhart in this game. Donovan Edwards, folks, he was needed in this one because Michigan brought in C.J. Stokes in the first half. He fumbled Michigan's turnover in the first half, and Mike Hart punished him for it. He didn't get back in that rotation like he was planning to as the backup running back with Donovan Edwards being out. The offensive line injuries, folks, might end up being the downfall of this team. Olu and Zach Zinter, they're playing okay. They're playing pretty good. They're doing all right this season. But there are other guys on this team that have not done well this season. So definitely needed a couple of guys this past yesterday's game. Definitely, I thought Donovan Edwards was the biggest piece of the puzzle that was missing for Michigan. And I think some overreactions from you guys on the internet yesterday were apt when it comes to the Michigan football team. And I think some of the overreactions I got in the bedroom last night were also apt. Overreactions I got were, James, things are amazing down below. I took this bad boy after the game yesterday, got in the shower. It's got this little light, so you can do it in the dark. I trimmed up downstairs, perfectly clean. I use all kinds of Manscaped products. Look at this bad boy, the Lawnmower 4.0, the best in the business. I use the Manscaped shower gel. I use the Manscaped shampoo. I clip my nails with the Manscaped nail clippers. Look at this. Manscaped lip balm. Go to Manscaped, the Platinum package. It's hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, right, Sam? $123.99 with the promo code GOBLUE. $154.99 is the normal price. If you buy everything separately, it'd be like $225 separately, right? All the stuff you get with it. Free shipping, 20% off. Promo code GOBLUE. Go to manscaped.com. The link for that is down in the comments, down in the description. Believe me when I tell you, folks, it is fresh fall, and my confidence has just gone through the roof based on the reaction I get when the ladies in my lady in my life takes a look downstairs. Manscaped, the Platinum package. Get going. Promo code GOBLUE. No spaces. 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com. Did you, did the media, did the entire college football world, did they hype this team up too much when they faced three of the worst 5, 6, 8 teams in college football over the first 3 games? 56 points, 51 points, 59-0 over UConn. This team's unbelievable. This is the fastest Michigan team of all time, per Joel Klatt. JJ McCarthy, he's going to win the Heisman, per James Yoder, maybe. I think so a little bit, and things kind of came down to earth. There's a lot of concerns. I think the defensive pass rush is nowhere near where it was last year. The wide receivers, I'm questioning the coaching staff's rotation there. We'll talk about that here in a second. And I do think there's a little too much hype, and I'm one of the leaders of that hype train. But whatever, 4-0, heading into the month of October, heading on the road, favored at Iowa. It doesn't happen too often, so let's just enjoy it while we have it. But I'll ask you guys the question. Go down below in the comments. Did we hype this team up too much after those first 3 games? If we did hype them too much up, go ahead and type Y down in the comments. If no, James, that's cool. This is still a top 5 team. Go ahead and type in. Let me know down below. I think a little bit, so I'm going to type my Y. JJ McCarthy was a big part of that hype, and his stats aren't eye-popping, right? He's had 3 starts. He's not averaging 350, 380 yards per game or anything like that. But 48 for 60, folks, that is still 80% passing completion. I saw a stat before the game. He's the only starter in Power 5 in like 7 years to complete over 80% after his first 2 starts, and he's continuing that path after the 3rd game, right? He didn't have over 80% in this one, but the season total right now is 48 of 60, which is exactly 80%, 693, and 5 touchdowns, also 1 touchdown on the ground. I've got some major concerns. You guys have some major concerns. There's concerns all over the place around this program when it comes to the offensive line. And maybe that's the one everyone's talking about. The wide receiver play is the one I'm actually a tad more interested around. But let's start with the offensive line. Trente Jones, Ryan Hayes. Ryan Hayes has started for this program in 4 different seasons. He's back-to-back starter, but he was in there back in 2019. He was in there back in 2020. Started all the games last year. He struggled. He struggled in this one. Trente Jones, his second back-to-back poor performance, poor game. Zach Zinter and Oluwatimi, the transfer center, they're holding their own, right? They're holding the line together. Giovanni El-Hadi got the start today with Trevor Keegan and Carson Barnhart not playing. Decent start for Giovanni, but if it wasn't for Zach Zinter and Olu Oluwatimi, this offensive line would be an absolute shambles. How about the wide receivers? Michigan put out 3 starting wide receivers. Although Jim Harbaugh said, we've got 5 starting wide receivers, it's been pretty consistent. The guys out there at the beginning of the game, the guys out there usually getting the most snaps are Ronnie Bell, Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson. Michigan needs to get Roman Wilson more involved. He has not got enough snaps. Prior to this game, he only had 40 snaps throughout the year. He was averaging absurd 30-plus yards or whatever it was per touch. Get him more involved. You saw him score a touchdown in this one. You saw JJ McCarthy go to him when the game was potentially on the line. Cornelius Johnson, not really getting it done for me. Not separating, not making any plays. Been in the starting line for 3 years. I don't know what we're seeing from him. I'm not saying bench him or anything like that, but maybe you do need to bench him for Andrel Anthony. Didn't produce much, but we saw what Anthony could do last year. We saw he could go up and catch the ball in traffic. We saw he could go downfield. I'm not seeing it from Cornelius Johnson, so how about Andrel Anthony? Didn't have the big game I thought he would, which was surprising because he was reportedly the number 1 guy in practice all week. So interested to see what happens with the wide receivers going out through the rest of the season, but I'm not necessarily thinking that the top 3 guys are getting it done to the elite level that Michigan needs to beat Ohio State, win the national championship, all of those things. Mike Sainristil, Junior Colson, those are the MVPs of the defense coming out of this one. And I would say for the entire season at this point, those have been your best 2 defensive players. Now, why do we say that about Mike Sainristil? He's filling such a need, right? He was a big contributor on the wide receiver group the last 3 seasons. He switched positions, went over in the spring to defensive back, and they said, Jesse Minter said, in the broadcast, they told him that if I wouldn't have known that he switched over from wide receiver, I wouldn't have known. He played defensive back that strongly, filling in for Dax Hill on to the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals, having a great year, having a great game. Every time I feel like the ball gets 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, Mike Sainristil is all over the ball, coming in from the secondary. He is having a hell of a year as Michigan's starting nickel cornerback. Also another big game, Junior Colson, great play all around, 13 tackles, 4 of them solo tackles, got to the quarterback 1 time. Those 2 guys had awesome games, have had awesome years so far. I am super excited about what they have done so far this season. I think those 2 guys are in the running right now for my players of the year on defense for this team. All right, I just went through 5 big overreactions from a little bit of mix of yours, a little bit of mix of mine, a little bit of mix of the media's so far, 24 hours or so after the game. But I want to know what your biggest overreactions are from yesterday's game, or what are your biggest single overreaction is from yesterday's game. Go down and comment below. Let me know. Let's light up the comment section. I'm going to make this Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening a big part of me jumping in there, replying to a ton of you guys. So comment below your biggest overreaction from yesterday's game. We will be back tomorrow with Michigan football grades on a Monday. It's Michigan-Iowa coming up next Saturday, so we'll have all kinds of things going on for that game throughout the week. So make sure to subscribe and come back to the channel tomorrow for that video.